सभी से अनुरोध है कि शांतिपूर्वक अपने अपना स्थान ग्रहण करें और अपने मोबाइल फ़ोन यदि साइलेंट मोड पर नहीं है तो उन्हें साइलेंट मोड पर कर दें। Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to begin the panel discussion. Kindly settle down. Let us now begin the panel discussion on ethics in governance and leadership, where our eminent panelists will discuss ethics in policy making and governance, corporate social responsibility as an ethical responsibility, and balancing profitability with ethical imperatives. We humbly invite Mr. Firdaus Dastoor, Group Director, Serum Institute of India Limited, as our first panelist. Can we join our hands to welcome him on stage? Mr. Dastoor represents one of the world's largest vaccine manufacturers. He brings a wealth of corporate leadership experience, balancing innovation, public health, and corporate responsibility. Mr. Dastoor, please kindly be seated here. Thank you. We now invite our next panelist, Professor R.P. Gupta, former Postmaster General and former Professor of Practice, Conclave Institute of Politics and Economics, Pune. Professor Gupta has served both in government and academia. His vast experience gives him a unique perspective on ethical challenges in governance and public administration. Once again, huge round of applause for both our eminent panelists. For felicitating our esteemed panelists and assuming the role of panel moderator, we now invite Mr. Nishant Jain. Mr. Jain is the project director for the M.L. Paimse Center for Cancer Survivors and Lifestyle Conditions at Kaivalyadham and a core team member of the Kaivalyadham Ashram Trust. Can we please welcome him with a huge round of applause? May we have the souvenirs to felicitate now? Mr. Jain, kindly please felicitate Mr. Firdaus Dastoor. For our next felicitation, may we have the souvenirs for Professor R.P. Gupta. Thank you so much. Nishant sir, over to you now.
Thank you very much. All right, sabhi ko namaskar and welcome to this first panel discussion of the day on a very interesting topic, the National Conclave on Ethics. The talk. क्योंकि कथनी और करनी में बहुत फ़र्क होता है और हम ये पैनल और अगले पैनल में यही चेष्टा करेंगे कि किस तरह से कथनी को करनी में उतारा जाए. So it is often said that leadership is about doing the right thing when nobody is watching. And in today's complex world where decisions affect millions, and we are seeing the kind of decisions global leaders are taking today and what kind of ripples that they are making for countries, the consequences also travel very, very fast. So ethics in governance and leadership is not just a virtue, but it is a necessity. मिनिस्टर साहब ने चाणक्य की बात कही थी तो मुझे एक और बात आया था कि चाणक्य ने कहा था कि यथा राजा तथा प्रजा, यथा राजा तथा प्रजा, अर्थात जैसे गुण और मूल्य नेता के होते हैं वैसा ही समाज बन जाता है. इसलिए नियत और सत्य के मूल पर आधारित नेतृत्व न केवल नीति बनाता है बट एक सफल समाज की नींव रखता है. So today, let us explore how transparency, accountability and integrity can be withheld in the face of practical challenges, because ethics in governance, in leadership is truly critical from walking the talk perspective. And we are privileged today to have two very, very distinguished panelists with us. Mr. Dastoor was a very eminent name in the corporate world, rich experience, group director at Serum Institute. We are thankful to them for all the lovely vaccines that they gave us during the COVID. And Professor Gupta, who is from the civil services, has been the former Postmaster General of India, and he brings the bureaucratic side of experience. So we have somebody from the bureaucracy, somebody from the corporate world, and I'm sure it's going to be a very interesting discussion with them. But before I get talking to them, I would want this discussion to be very interactive. It is not that the three of us will speak here. I want all of you to be involved. आप सभी इसमें सहभाग लें कि तभी हमें सही मायने में आनंद आएगा. तो ये टॉपिक तो यहाँ लिख दिया, लेकिन ये लिखने के पहले मैं कुछ आपसे भी पूछना चाहता हूँ, आपसे भी समझना चाहता हूँ कि हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू रियली फील, अगर आप मेरी बात से सहमत हो तो हाथ ऊपर करिएगा. हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू फील दैट एथिक्स takes a back seat when it comes to power and profitability? और यहाँ पावर और प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी वाले दो जजमान बैठे हैं, वहाँ पावर वाले और ये प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी वाले. If you feel, मतलब दे जब हाथ ऊपर करके बोलिए कि आपको लगता है कि ethics takes a back seat when it comes to power and profitability. Very good, interesting. वंदन शाह जी, बिल्कुल. तो हम हमारे पैनलिस्ट से इस बारे में चर्चा करेंगे. और क्योंकि इतने सारे यंगस्टर्स हैं, बिल्कुल मेरी तरह, मेरे बाल कम है, बाकी मैं यंग ही हूँ, तो मैं आपसे पूछना चाहता हूँ कि आप अपनी एजुकेशन पूरी करेंगे, कुछ लॉ के स्टूडेंट्स हैं, कुछ हमारे योग के स्टूडेंट्स हैं, तो इफ़ यू हैड द चॉइस, कभी कभी चॉइस नहीं होती, लेकिन अगर चॉइस है तो वुड यू लाइक टू वर्क विथ अ हाईली सक्सेसफुल लीडर और अ हाईली एथिकल लीडर? जो हाईली सक्सेसफुल लीडर के साथ काम करना चाहते हैं हाथ ऊपर कर. वेरी गुड, आई लाइक दैट. 1 2 3 4 5. देखिए ये यहीं से वैल्यूज की शुरुआत है, बिकॉज ऑनेस्टी यही है 5 लोगों में. बाकी सब जो नीचे हैं वह शायद एथिकल की बात कर रहे होंगे, लेकिन इस बारे में भी हम चर्चा करेंगे कि सक्सेसफुल और एथिकल साथ में हो सकते हैं या नहीं. तो अब आपका ज़्यादा समय न लेते हुए हम सीधे हमारे पैनलिस्ट से चर्चा करेंगे. So, firstly, Mr. Dastoor, I would like to start talking with you, and I would request your opening thoughts on what you feel about ethics in governance and leadership, one. And also, if you can add to that, with your rich experience, that do you really feel in the practical things, it is truly possible for a company to be highly profitable and highly ethical? Because people don't talk about this in one breath. Highly profitable and highly ethical, इसको एक breath में नहीं बोलते, या तो कॉमा लगाते देते हैं या ये दो अलग सेंटेंस हो जाते हैं. So I would like to hear from you, Mr. Dastoor. Over to you.
Namaskar to all. What I am going to speak about is ethics in terms of what has been practical experiences that we have seen in what I have grown up to be. I've been a product right from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and even to today. When we are talking about ethics and seeing profitability balancing out with ethics, I'll give you examples. All this is examples, otherwise ethics can remain on a piece of paper. I represent Serum Institute of India. I've been a part of the leadership team from the 1980s itself. And what we have done, and what the patriarch, Dr. Cyrus Poonawalla, had basically drawn out his vision was that I will not want to charge vaccines to the underprivileged where basically they cannot afford it. Now, the way many companies look at it is, they see it from a cost plus issue. That means जो आपका cost हुआ उस पे plus लगा दो, आप वो price से उसको बेच दो. We worked out schemes where we increased our capacities to an extent, because that is in biotechnology you can have larger vaccine manufacturing bases. It can be scaled up. And what we did was, we saw that efficiency was the way that we brought profits into the organization. And we had a price where we even talk about it today, that we sell products at the price of a cup of tea. A vaccine manufactured by us, which we supply to the world, is at the cup of tea. I'll give you examples. In 1988, measles vaccine was sold at 8 cents. Today we sell it at around 48 cents after close to 40 years. And we manufacture something in the region of 750 to 800 million doses. We make profit because of the volumes and the efficiency that we have been able to bring in scale up. We don't bring it profits because we have known of our competitors who sell the products at around $7 to $8. This is what ethics is all about. This is how you basically take care of around 70% of the world's population. You take care of your own people, you take care of this. And on that basis, you make profits. That profit doesn't mean that you tuck away the money into your own pocket. 95% of it is reinvested back into manufacturing capabilities. Balance amounts that go about is going to clean up the cities that are there, to sort of educate people that is there. That is going beyond what profits we talk about. It's the utilization for the community. This is what exactly we do in terms of ethics vis-a-vis profitability.
Well, very, very well said. I think that's a great example to say that ethics will not be compromised. Profitability has to be ensured for sustainability of an organization, but efficiency, innovation, creativity, as Mr. Dastoor mentioned, can lead to the profitability goals. And ultimately, he said something very beautiful when he said that 95% of the profits are brought back because they are done for the common good. And that itself lays a foundation. And if the foundation is rooted in ethics, then profitability is always going to be a byproduct, because profitability always cannot be measured in terms of money. Profitability has so many other dimensions which we should look at when we look at holistically. So on that very interesting note, that brings me to another question for you, Gupta ji, because you have been involved with bureaucracy. And I am not saying about bureaucracy or private sector, but we see all kinds of corruption at all levels. And when I say corruption, it's not only in terms of money, but corruptions of different kinds. So what do you feel, because you have been a civil servant and you have seen life so closely with so many different quarters, is corruption really due to weak systems or due to weak values?
Thank you, Jen Saab. So I'll make first couple of remarks before I move to this question, that is the corruption, and corruption in very broadly defined, whether it is due to weak systems or due to weak value. So few observations. First, our moderator started by saying that Yatha Raja Tatha Praja. That is what he essentially said. And if, again, not to argue with him, but to just give another side of the coin, there is another aphorism which says, a people get the government they deserve. Now, as a muhavara or kathoyokti or aphorism goes, they all carry some certain amount of folk wisdom. So all I will say is, let's keep both of these things in mind. Then I was very happy when Jain Saab invited the audience to give their vote on, is it possible to be ethical and exercise power, or is it possible to be ethical and be profitable? And I was very happy that the balance of the vote was in the favor of that possibility, that optimism. And I think the very fact that today we are sitting here and discussing this is because we all are somewhere optimistic that it is possible. And we wish that it is possible. And I would say, at whatever little life that I have lived, that it is indeed possible. Now coming to the question of that, is it really, the question was that is it really possible to exercise power and be ethical and be value-based and still exercise power, and does it come from the weak systems, or does it come from the weak value system, or does it come from the weak systemic arrangements? I think this is what he meant. So instead of having a very clear-cut answer, again let me give you some examples. This audience has a lot of young people who have probably not seen the time when railway reservations were manual. You went to a counter. Some of us who are above 40 might have seen that. I was a small schoolboy in Udaipur, and I had to travel from Udaipur to Delhi and from Delhi to Indore, very circuitous route. So the reservation, railway booking was manual. You had to send a telegram from Udaipur station to Delhi station to book a ticket. Now, I'm sure all of you will agree, despite our frustration with the IRCTC website, that largely the train reservation booking system is fair. I'm sure that all of you will agree. And all of those of us who have seen the time when this was not computerized would agree that probably it was less fair than what it is today. So this answers the question that in a very vivid way that sometimes we need systems. Second story I would tell you again, because today morning the tone was set by our chief guest to make a complex issue more relatable by stories. So I was born in 70s, and I remember around the time when I was a boy of 7 or 8, just about to be able to understand things, our house was getting constructed. And my father will come and say something like this to my mother. Our local member of parliament was a very respected individual. His name was Mr. Chobe. He was a freedom fighter. So my father will come and say, चोबे जी के पास आज गया था मैं, और उन्होंने लेटर में लिख दिया है तो 2 बोरी सीमेंट तो मिल जाएगी. To get 2 quintals of cement, one had to go to a member of legislative assembly. Why? Because we had certain systems of economic management where there were shortages. So if you have shortages, it is going to lead to so many people in the queue. And when you have so many people in the queue, some people will be tempted to break the queue. Some people will be tempted to not follow the rules. Which means part of the question that Jain Sahab raised, that is it a systems issue? So sometimes it's a systems issue. But it's not always the case that it's always the systems issue. Sometimes it's also a question of values. And here I would say that it's a symbiotic relationship. व्यक्ति समाज से बनता है और व्यक्तियों से समाज बनता है. So the society, how it grooms its members, also decides what kind of shape it is going to take, and vice versa. I guess I will not prolong it further, and let's move on. Thank you.
Very, very well said, Gupta ji. Like you mentioned, that a society also, in today's world, especially when we live in a democratic country, we deserve the leadership that we have. So if we have a great leader today, we deserve it. And it is. I agree, it is symbiotic. But also, when we have young leaders here, we are also, when you are in a leadership position, you are going to lead the way. And how you need to lead the way, how you need to walk the talk becomes very, very critical. So in that context, Mr. Dastoor, what would you really advise our young leaders here from a personal character perspective? Because I believe ethics and values are very, very subjective, and a lot of personal beliefs personal value systems, your upbringing, all of those come together in shaping what I believe is good for myself and the community. In face of such beliefs, right? When you're in a leadership position, how important is personal character to ensure we walk the talk?
Very interesting question, sir. I'll give you an example. There's a book, I'll just take you a little away from this question. There's a book called The Living Company, written by a guy called R.E.D. Goose, way back in 1997, where he says Mitsubishi started in 1498. Today it's as a lantern company. Sumitomo Group started in the year 1500. And then he goes and explains that there are a number of companies in the United States in the 1970s who were all Fortune 500 companies. 1/3 of them got wiped out by 1983 because they were either sold off, they were broken up, merged, demerged. And all this comes back to the whole aspect is that they manufactured products and gave services on a basis of economic scale and never took care of humanity. Now, you have to look at the overall function of what is humanity, what is good for humanity, what is good for the environment, what is good for your people around you, your community, your employees, your stakeholders, etc. Now, once you start looking at these aspects and not looking at yourself, at your bonuses and your profitability as an organization, you will start looking at things in a very different aspect. I can give you an example. Fairness is seen from an aspect of if you have made, in a deal making, you basically got away with it. But fairness never works that way. Fairness is on the basis of that if you have done a structuring of your business or you've done a deal and it doesn't come to bite you 5 years down the line because the other party misunderstands or you have misrepresented, it becomes unfair to him. You have to be fair to the other party at all points of time. You have to see that there is equity in every aspect of business that you do. Never mind, you will feel that, look here, you have lost out. You have never lost out. You have gained yourself as a person who has grown. Societies have grown. How does society grow? You see the UK of the 1500s or 1400s and the UK today. You see India of the 1700s and what you see today. There are certain norms that we are talking about, certain corporate governances that we are talking about. Corporate governance is only a regimentation of what you should do as a fair way to people around you and be open with everybody around. Now, if you start being open and not sort of tuck away any of the problems, not telling the other party what exactly is the issue, this is how you will basically make yourself feel, yourself feel a little fair with the other party. And remember, why do you buy a Tata product? It is because it has believed in a certain fairness. Why do you take into account that what the Tatas say today is something that is not very subjective but very objective? Give you an example. They had an agreement with Docomo. That was the Japanese company where they had to pay $1 billion. You had Cyrus Mistry before Mr. Ratan Tata took over once again. Docomo was basically stopped for being paid this money because Cyrus Mistry said the Reserve Bank of India is not allowing us. Ratan Tata, after he took over, we had to pay at that time 7,000 crores of rupees. He made it a point that as Tatas, he made it a point to pay that amount because that was the fair way to move about it. The Japanese have once again started talking and discussing structures or collaborations with Tatas because they believe this is a very fair company. You may go out, never look at a business from a transactional point of view. Look at it from a point of view of ethics. You look at it from a point of how do you sort of take it forward. Because life is not one year, 6 months. Life is around 40, 45, 50 years. That's how you should look at it.
All right. I think that was a very, very lovely insight for leaders to look at the lens of fairness and fairness for all. Because we are too worried about whether it is fair to me, but whether it is fair to me, whether it is fair to my stakeholders, whether it is my suppliers, my customers, my internal stakeholders, and the entire environment also. Because when we are today looking at responsibility, it doesn't just rest at corporate responsibility, but it also environment responsibility, it is social responsibility. So if decisions are rooted in the philosophy of being fair, then they will be good decisions. And as Mr. Dastoor mentioned, 5 years back, 10 years back, when you will look at it, you will feel pride because they will needs a lot of courage. And like he mentioned, a beautiful example of Tata's, while they demonstrated a lot of fairness, they always had the courage to stand for what is right, even if it was not popular. And perhaps maybe that's where the brand also got an idea that fair is lovely, and so we have fair and lovely, because fair has to be really lovely. So that on that beautiful insight, I would also like to ask Professor Gupta the other side of this is, what are the real challenges a leader really faces? Because yes, we want to be fair, yes, we want to have the courage, yes, we believe in the ethics and the values, we want to do it, but yet we do face obstacles. And in your rich experience here and in academia, what do you feel are some of the top challenges that leaders face when it comes to actually implementing and walking the talk by being ethical?
A great point. I'll take from where Mr. Dastoor left. He said that with that Docomo example and Tata's, basically the point he was making is that to be fair is also to think long term. To be fair also means being sustainable. Sustainable because you have a business reputation which sustains you over a longer period. So maybe the short term, you look as if your short term profit and loss or whatever decision, whether it's in private sector or public sector, the short term you may be winning, but in the long term you may not be losing, or vice versa, that in the short term you made the sacrifices, but then in the long term it pays off. So to be fair, to be transparent, and to have integrity is also a long-term proposition. And that is relevant to the point which you kind of raised, which is what are the challenges. And probably since the question is directed to me, so I guess what are the challenges for a leader in the public life? So let us set the context. We are a parliamentary democracy. And the power, the political executive power is vested by the constitution in what we call as the political executives. So we elect our leaders at different levels. It could be Gram Panchayat, it could be a Nagar Palika or a municipal corporation like Pune, it could be a Bombay Municipal Corporation, and then the state and the center. So the leadership comes through elections. And elections, by their very nature, are short-term affairs. And nation, by its nation demands short-term decisions, but also long-term investment in its decisions. somewhere this conflict of the short term and long term creates the challenges for decisions which may be of to individuals or to group of individuals, but may be harmful to the nation. That is one source of challenge. Another source of challenge I feel is, especially in the case of a country like India, India is an amazingly diverse country. And we have that beautiful song of the 80s and 90s, Mile sur mera tumhara, to sur bane hamara. So that is that beautiful tapestry, that is India, but that also throws up its challenge, because it's very easy that I speak Tamil and I feel very comfortable because Jain Sahib also speaks Tamil. Or I feel very comfortable that I and Mr. Shah went to the same college. So we get together and then we forget that somebody else who went to some other college, maybe probably making a better point, this is a more deserving person, but because we both went to the same college, so it's very easy to tilt the decision in favor of somebody, or that I speak the same language, or I and Mr. Dastur will live in the same city, Pune, so we get together and ignore Mr. J who lives in Mumbai. So these are some of the challenges these are what I call as the structural challenges. Then again the short term, long term, if you play, then somebody may decide that, okay, in the short term, let me fill my coffer, long term ka baad mein sochenge. Kisne dekha? So make the hay while it lasts. I think these are the two challenges. So again, the issue is how do you design systems? Because at the end of the day, after posing the issue or the problem, we need to look at solutions. So the best is how best we design a solution, how best we design our institutional setup so that we try to meet, maximize what is best sustainably, what is transparent, what is fair, what is right. And that is a constant struggle. This is what I feel.
Very thankful to you, Mr. Gupta, for being so honest and upfront, because this is a real challenge, because a lot of times we look at the short-term goals and benefits and forget our sight on the long term. So you always say it's like, never miss the woods for the trees, and also never miss the trees for the woods. So we need to keep an eye on both. And systems are important, yes, because we ultimately operate in a society. Corporations are also a network of systems, but ultimately they are led by individuals. So when we talk about corporations, it is a living entity because it is run by leaders. So the thought processes, the ethics and the values of the leadership, like Mr. Dastur mentioned, of Mr. Tata, reflects on the entire Tata group. So that brings me to another question for you, Mr. Dastur. And we have a lot of people who have joined us online also other than this, and a fair bit of registrations I have been told are also from working professionals and corporates. So when we look at corporate social responsibility, CSR is a buzzword, and it's a great thought where organizations can make a contribution to the society. But when I look at CSR initiatives of many companies, most of it looks like a checkbox. How do you think that organizations can really make CSR a core ethical responsibility? Because by what you said, it really looked like Serum lives that and does that. So what is the kind of advice or suggestion you would like to give to the leaders out there who in the online world who have joined us on how they can make CSR a core ethical responsibility and not just a checkbox?
This country, if it is really to progress, needs to educate its masses. Today, we have 14.72 lakh schools, of which 10.69 lakh schools are government schools. If we really think about it, if we look at CSR from an en masse point of view and ask the corporates to help these municipal schools or these government schools, you will be educating the masses. That's the first part of it. What we at Serum we do, I'll come to that later. The second part of it is healthcare. Healthcare in this country is so expensive that the common man cannot afford it if he has a severe issue to his health. Now, these are aspects that we need to take care of, and we, as industrialists or as corporate leaders, need to come together and think about a way forward of how do we sort of take care of health as well as education. The government, to an extent, can take care of it. Beyond the point, it cannot take care of it. Many people talk about that there are private schools coming about, but private schools are so expensive that not many people can afford it. How do we sort of see that we upgrade the municipal schools and the government schools by way of CSR? That's an aspect that we should really look at seriously. How do we sort of improve the medical facilities in the government hospitals so that we can help these people from that aspect? How do we train our people is an aspect that we need to look at it. Training of teachers, training of medical students, medical nurses, doctors, etc. in the rural areas. I have heard cases that the government gives 33,000 rupees for just doing a heart sort of operation. That's not enough in today's world. So what do the people do? They fleece the guy saying that, look, the ventilator is going to cost you 20,000 rupees, the ICU is going to cost you 20,000 per day, etc. Where do these people bring the money from? There is no way that we are going to do that. How do we see that we give them certain equipments that will be utilized and donated so that it can be sort of, you can bring the cost down? This is one part of it, and I just thought that this was an idea that if it's available to a lot of people, they can think about it. At Serum, we spend, apart from our 2% what we need to spend as CSR, we go up to say around 5% of our total monies. We have an initiative called the Adar Poonawalla Clean City Scheme in Pune, and that's also started off in Bombay. Not many people have looked at Swachh Bharat from that perspective. This young man has basically looked at it and helps the municipalities to try and clean up the city as far as possible. The second part of it is we have been sort of having schools and training people not only in their own vernacular language, but also in English, so that they are capable of getting certain jobs at some point of time in different parts of the country. The third is we've started helping the deaf and dumb by sort of donating to that cause and trying to see that we help such organizations. Now, there are a number of other schemes that are there, but these are the three focus areas that we are really looking at in trying to help disabled people, in trying to help people from this. We have a hospital called the William Poonawalla Hospital, where we give a bed, a general bed at 400 rupees. Now it's 500 rupees per day, because there is no way that today's any of the hospitals in Pune can give anything less than 1,200, 1,500. That's how we basically like to help out people and get it forward.
Very happy to hear that you have not really restricted CSR to a number, but what you feel needs to be done. And very rightly pointed, health and education are two very important elements where companies can focus. So I'm going to take one question with Mr. Gupta ji, and then I'm going to change the course of this session. Gupta ji, since we have so many young leaders and you have been involved with academia, what are those maybe two advice that you would like to give our youngsters here because they are going to face ethical dilemmas in their life. So what are the two things you will advise, that how can they stand strong with courage when they face ethical dilemmas in their life?
So again, if you go back to one of my previous points about the so-called short-term and long-term, so I would say that it always pays, at least in the long term, if not in the immediate, this thing, to be ethical, and not in the narrow sense of following the law or just merely following the law or the rule, but in the very broad sense of following the right and being able to take the right course of action at every circumstance. It does pay. And that is something I can probably say. And another thing is that systems do matter. So as and when you get into a situation where you are in a position to influence course of things, or you are in a leadership position, then sustainable systems which are winning, which take care of fairness, which take care of transparency, which take care of doing the right thing for every party involved, makes difference. So in your own life, if you do the right thing, and in your professional life or wherever you can influence course of action, course of life for others, course of events, if you try and design systems which are sustainable, which are fair and transparent, then you are contributing and doing your bit to the society. These are the two things I would like to say.
Super, very, very nice. So I think that was one good half an hour, 35 minutes of some serious thought-provoking discussions that we had. And now I would like to change gears. Let's move to second gear and let's add some fun element to this, because I can see a lot of youngsters here, so we need to change the energy in this room. So with the permission of Mr. Dastur and Mr. Gupta, I would like to play a rapid fire round with you. Would you be okay to that? How about a rapid fire round with them? I'm not Karan Johar. I don't have a coffee hamper, okay, but I'm sure that the insights that you will give from your rapid fire will bring a lot of great value to our youngsters. So we'll do a quick rapid fire round, and then I'm gonna open the stage for all of you, right? We have good 20 minutes in hand, and I want you to think of whatever questions you have. Feel free, have the courage to ask to very, very seasoned gentlemen here, right? So we do that in the third gear, and then we head for lunch. Sounds like a plan? Super. So please think of your questions. You think of your questions. I've already thought of my rapid fire questions. Yes, Rajan sir. Yes, sir. Rajan sir, bowling है free मैं कर सकता हूँ. All right, Mr. Dastur, I'm not going to ask not many questions. Just 4 questions. That's it. Quick. Ready? All right. Super. I like this smile. Yes, Mr. Dastur. Ethics in one word. Fairness. Beautiful. One leader you admire for their ethical leadership.
Many of them, right from J.R.D. Tata, Cyrus Poonawalla, Ratan Tata.
Super. Wonderful. A book, it's so great when he cannot stop at one. That only goes to speak about how he is inspired and the kind of work that he does. So big round of applause for him. A book or a film that shaped your views on ethics and values. A book or a film that shaped your values on ethics and values.
There are many books. I'll tell you one thing. When you start reading this book called The Living Company, it'll show you what exactly it means. When you have companies with 700 years of longevity, a human being has, say, 75, they must be doing something absolutely right, something in the right manner, in the right course, being geographically distributed in countries. We are just talking about India. Look at these companies who are basically based in Sweden, in Japan, and being there for 700 years. What are they doing right, which basically we can...
We got that. Living Companies is the name of the book. Make a note of that, friends. And one last question. One quality in young leaders today that gives you a lot of hope for the future.
They're very enlightened.
Wow, and you're in the place of Kaivalya Dham, right? For Kaivalya. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Mr. Dastur. We move to Professor Gupta. Yes, Mr. Gupta, ready?
Sure.
All right. Ethics requires strength or sacrifice?
I guess strength.
Strength? All right. Yes, we spoke about courage. If ethics was a color, which one would you pick? If ethics was a color, which one would you pick?
White.
White. All right. And I think that's why we have all our students here wearing white. This is a tough one. Which is harder? Saying no to power or yes to responsibility? Saying no to power or saying yes to responsibility?
What is harder?
Yes, what is harder?
I think saying yes to responsibility is harder.
Yes, I kartavya approved. And last one ethical value you think every leader must have. One ethical value you feel every leader must have.
Transparency.
Transparency, beautiful. And that's what this discussion was about. Very, very transparent.
Sunshine is the best.
Sunshine is the
disinfectant.
best. Yeah, absolutely. Over to you, my dear friends, fellow audience. Please shoot your questions. We have our volunteers here. Please raise your hand. They'll be there. Just, I have two requests with my little moderation experience. Number one, please point the question to the gentleman you would like to ask. And please keep your question very brief. And third, don't try to answer your question. Many times people ask the question and then explain the question and answer the question. So keep it brief. हम पतंजलि योग सूत्र की दुनिया में है. Keep it brief, keep it concise, and to the gentleman that you would like to. Yes, sir, please.
Our panelist is very much experienced. My one single question, I want to hear one real life experience of ethical when they feel that dilemma comes in your life and then stood up with ethics. Your experience, sir. One example in your life where you stood with your ethics and values.
I'll take you through an example way back in 1984. Not many people know what 1984 was with the Ministry of Finance. It was, everything was no. Everything was no. If you wanted to bring in money, if the USAID wanted to give us money, you couldn't take it. You couldn't do anything with it. After breaking my head over 6 months, my chairman said that, look, I want to come with you and I want to meet the gentleman. He was the Joint Secretary of Finance. And as soon as he sat down, I tried to explain that here was my chairman and all that. He tapped my finger, and he said, just keep quiet. He says, do you know, Mr. Malhotra, how many children die of measles every day, and you stopped us from basically bringing in money? The meeting got over in 2 minutes. That was the end of it. Because that, according to him, was ethics. And that, according to us, was ethics. This is ethics. That, look, we don't mind telling the powers that be that, look, if you don't help us, we will find some other ways. But you must know the consequences of why you, if you don't help us, you can't just sit in the north, and just, take care of yourselves on that basis. The reality is on the ground. The reality is somebody is dying. And that is what ethics is. It's something that you really learn what real ethics is, and to stand up and say that, look here, this far, no further.
Very nice. Any more questions? Yes, please. Wow, no questions. I like that. Sure, no questions? Okay, we have one question there. Okay, yes.
Yeah, thank you so much sharing your insight. So I have a question. So what is the best way to come out of any dilemma, ethical dilemma someone is into? Or what is your thought? What is the best way to remain transparent in day-to-day life or any leadership positions? So it's to any of you.
It's always going to be hard because we have an interface with giant organization called the government. We have an interface, but we have an interface also finally with our own public, with our own people around us. And what is more important is we have to see it from a perspective that what is good for our society is an aspect that we need to take into account and move forward on it. There will be challenges. There will be, as I heard this morning, that there will be ups and downs. But these ups and downs, I'll give you another example. Tata Steel never allowed anybody, and they were based in Bihar, so you can understand what sort of society we are talking about. Tata Steel never basically allowed any of its people to pay money for any dealings during the 80s. But they allowed the person who was recommended to take jobs. And that's how they basically helped people around in terms of giving jobs, sort of made them into people who could help around in terms of educating people in their corporate social responsibilities that they have been doing for years together. Corporate social responsibility has come about as a phase right now, but they have been doing it for 66% of their money is spent on women empowerment, on education. That is what they have been doing and sort of employing people. This is what it means. You have to sort of stay away from it. If you can look at it the short term, but if you really want to look at it the long term, you have to move forward. There will be times when businesses will be hit to an extent.
Okay, we have time for one more question. Yes, Anilji.
This question is for both of you. Can we walk without talk? And if yes, then how?
We have done it. At least in my experience, we have done it. We have found that certain governments, not this government at least, certain governments previously, if they have not been taken care of, they have not placed orders on us. We have found our way by internationalizing our business and selling the products, and makes us feel very sad that we have to sort of see that the materials don't go to our people. But we've also done it this way, that the most deserving people have been given this material as donations.
Yes. Yeah, and there was some very beautiful examples that even sir mentioned. Gupta ji, would you like to add something there?
Without the talk.
Can we walk without the talk? Yes. How?
Certainly.
I think that's a very interesting twist also that you have given, because most people talk and then walk, but few walk without the talk. तो इससे मुझे एक बात याद है कि अनिल जी की सिक्के बहुत आवाज़ करते हैं, नोट नहीं. So जो नोट की वैल्यू होती है वो टॉक नहीं करती, वो केवल वॉक करती है, और सिक्के सिर्फ टॉक करते हैं. तो आपने बहुत अच्छा पर्सपेक्टिव दिया. With that, I think, do we have any questions? Okay, great. One last question. All right, Ritika, one last question because people are hungry. नोट में गांधी होते. बिल्कुल सही, बिल्कुल बहुत अच्छा बैलेंस है. Yes, last question.
Shant.
अच्छा, yes sir, sorry.
I just want to answer his question that how to walk without talk.
Yeah.
I was with Havels India Limited, and our chairman, he used to, it was timing from 9 to 6, and at 9 o'clock if you enter the lift, he will be exactly at 9 o'clock, you can see your watch, 9 o'clock he will be in the lift, and then he goes out also, 6 o'clock exactly, you can see your watch. And his advice was, 6 baje ke baad nobody should be there. But the thing is that without talking anything, he was able to convey that how much punctual I am.
Yeah.
Very, very, very.
Thanks for sharing. That was a good example. Okay, we have a last question. Yeah, one last question.
Why is that
My question is basically, I think sometimes we can have a lot of these conversations on values and ethics when we are comfortable and we are sitting and, but that becomes harder when you have necessities around you that also arise, right? For example, the simplest example I would say is like, we all care a lot about the environment, but then the moment there is no dustbin around, like you do tend to throw around things here and there. Similarly, if you are a person who is, say, working for a company and there are unethical practices happening, probably thinking about your family, you would stick around on that job a lot more rather than calling out these unethical practices. When this dichotomy arises, then how does one go forward? Then how do you look at your necessity versus your values and ethics?
Yes, sir. Who would like to take that?
You'd like to take
Gupta ji?
I'll take that. So the point you really made is that maybe when things are very dire, then you'll be tempted to kind of sidestep the ethical issues. If that is the point, I guess in life life is never easy. Walking the life is never easy, and every moment we are making decisions. As I think in the morning somebody said that every breath is yoga. I think Rajan sir said it, that every breath you take is, so if you breathe consciously and if you live life consciously, then probably you live life much more richer and better than if, for most of us, for the large part of our lives, we are not breathing consciously, we are not living consciously. So I think the same applies when it comes to the ethical walk, that there will be times when almost, I guess, all of us, very few of us can say that we have never failed. At least I would not say that I have never failed. So I'll be the first to say that no, I cannot claim that I have never failed, but you keep striving because that is the path. So if you at least make the determination that you'll keep striving, you will probably be the winner. Thank you.
Very, very well said. And that was, as we come to the close of this, I'm sorry we can't take any more questions, but one thing, we had some wonderful insights, and one thing is very clear, that ethics in leadership is not an accessory, it is the foundation of leadership, and that's how we need to look at it. Leadership is not about avoiding mistakes. Mistakes are going to happen, failure is going to come. It is not about avoiding mistakes, but it is about having the courage, as our panelists have said, to have the courage to do what is right, even if the popular sentiment is otherwise, right? So as we close this, thank you very much for all of you for being a great audience, our lovely panelists for sharing their views, and I hope that each one of you can have the courage to lead your personal and professional life with integrity, ethics, and the values that you hold dear to you. Thank you. Namaste. God bless.
Thank you so much, panelists, our Nishant sir. Now let us break for lunch. For the lunch, we have our volunteers escort the panelists and the VIPs to some